and welcome back to another episode of the 8-Bit Retro Refix. And on this week's episode, we're going to be repairing or taking a look at a Commodore 64 motherboard. What's so special about the Commodore 64 motherboard? Yeah, of course it's special. It's close to my heart and I've got strong nostalgia for it. No, this one is, we picked it up off Facebook, I'll pop a picture up there, for the grand total of £5. Yeah, that's right. £5 for a Commodore 64 motherboard. Okay, it's not got any chips, any ICs, they're all missing. They are quite expensive, the ICs, but what we're going to do is test the board, make sure the voltages are there, populate it with a few chips, test it, put the harness on it, diagnostics, and we'll go through some of the reasons why I wanted to do a video on this board. I took a look at it and I thought, wow, it's very, very clean. I don't know whether you can see that or not. It might just reflect. But the board is very, very clean. It's never ever been touched. There's no solder work on it that's been done after factory. Okay, the power ports and things like that, the serial ports, they get soldered in by hand at factory. But other than that, nothing else has been touched on the board. So it is very, very, very clean. So that's what I wanted to do this week. Take a look at the Commodore 64. Let's get to it. Right, so this is the board that we picked up off Facebook for £5. As you can just see at the top up just up there, I have pulled out the chips out of my cupboard, my spares, to be able to populate this board once we've gone round and tested it. So what I'm going to do first, we've got the multimeter set up on voltage, get the power supply for it, put the power in. And I'll put this board, the meter up here. I don't know whether you can see that or not. See if you can see the screen. I'll just put that up there so you can see that. Right, so what I want to do first is check the board for voltages. And the reason why we want to check the board for voltages first is because we don't want to be putting these expensive chips into a board that we don't know. When you're looking at the SIDs these days, and they're about £50. The CIA chips, either one of these, are about £25–30 each. You have another £30 for the ROM set. You have about £30 for the CPU, another £30 for a PLA, £40–50 on a VIC chip. So you can see we don't want to be putting that kind of monetary value into a board that we don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn it on now. You won't be able to see anything. We don't see anything at all. I'm hoping that you can see the multimeter screen correctly. I'm just going to take an earth from this side. So just put that in there. And I'm just going to go on the right side of this voltage regulator and see whether we're getting a good 5 volts out of that voltage regulator. And as you can see on the screen, we've got a lovely, clear, spot on 5 volts. The other one is just to the left of that one just here, and we're going to go for the same leg again. So we should be getting 12 volts or close to out of this voltage regulator. And we've got 12.1. So that tells us this fuse is okay. We know we've got us voltages around here. So I'm pretty much happy with that. As long as the voltage regulators are putting the feeds out around the board, then it should be okay. It should be good to go. Let's see if I can get something off one of the RAM chips, but I believe the RAM chips is not that one. It's at the opposite side. It's been a while. See if I can find the right pin for it. Nope. It should be. There we go. It's the bottom left corner pin, that's without looking it up. If we just probe onto each one of them RAM chips, We've got a nice 5.1. It's a little bit on the high side, but that is to be expected because there isn't any more chips in it, because they were pulled down. So right, okay. So we now know what we've got as voltages around the board. I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to populate 3 of the chips, which is going to be the CPU, the PLA and the video chip. And the reason why I'm only doing them 3 is because that is all we need for a dead test cartridge. Yeah, the rest of them, it doesn't matter. Because as long as the dead test fires up, then we should be good to go. We have got the dead test cartridge, and we have got a Badlands cartridge to have a look at and see whether that works. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to pop them chips in now. I do have an anti-static strap strapped to me. You might not be able to see it on camera on my hands because I have it around my ankle to take the static electricity away from me. And I'm not getting tied up on my arms and pulling around with wires and things like that when I'm repairing. So that's what I'm going to do now. We'll make sure that that's off. And we'll just test the voltages to make sure it is off, because we don't want to be unplugging chips and plugging them in if the power's switched on. Yeah, it's off anyway. It's off. So first of all, we'll take this VidiQ chip. I don't know whether you can see on there or not. Probably not. Let's see if I can see there. This chip had a leg missing at one time, so I've had to solder a leg on. So that makes the difference. We've got a leg in there. This is my little test VidiQ anyway, just to make sure. I'll put that in there. And we want a PLA. And we'll put PLA in. And we want a CPU. So we'll go for CPU. She's in. Shazama. So, and we'll get a video cable. In we go. And do we try the dead test? Do we try the dead test first, or do we just try and switch it on? What do you reckon? Let's go for a switch on. So I'm going to flick that switch. Screen's gone black. And we have got nil pa. So we've got nil pois and a black screen because we don't have any kernels, characters and things like that over here. What the dead test does is bypasses them chips. It has its own kernel, character, etc. on here. It does that on purpose, so in case they are dead, that you can still see something on screen from this. So let's put the dead test cartridge in now. And flick that switch on. And we've still got black screen because the dead test waits. Boom. We have got a screen. Let me see if I can show you that. So there you go. You can see the dead test running. She ignored the times down at the bottom because there's no CIA chips in. But we have dead test running. So the dead test passed the 0 page, the stack page, the screen RAM and the colour RAM, and all the rest of the RAM passed on the dead test. So that tells me we are good. Everything seems to be working correctly. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to populate the other missing chips on the board over here, and we'll pop a SID in as well. And before we do put a SID in, because SIDs are so expensive, I'm just going to see whether we can get a voltage from the SID. And we do, we get 12 volts from the SID, which is good. So we know we're okay there. So, let's take the dead test cartridge out. And I'm going to flick you back up to let you have a look at the screen again. And then I'll turn the power on and let's see if we've got that gorgeous blue screen that the Commodore 64 gives us. And then we'll have a chat about this board if it comes on. If it doesn't come on, then we're going to go back down the diagnostic circuit and finding out what and why it doesn't work. So I'm just going to turn that on now. We'll turn it on now, and boom. So it's up and it's running. We've got the Commodore basic screen on. We've got blinky cursor, which tells us that a left CIA chip's working. If you don't get a cursor, it's always the left CIA. If you get graphical issues, then it could quite possibly be the right CIA, or the PLA, or other things. But generally the CIAs are a little bit temperamental. They don't like static, or they are quite prone for packing in of the CIA chips. So we're up and running. Well, let's just test it with Badlands. I won't move you back up to screen, you can see it working. If there's any issues or anything like that, you know, like graphical issues, I'll show you. But if it's nice, clean, and it's all okay, then that's fine. But you will hear the sound from Badlands anyway. So that's booted with the first screen for Badlands. It then goes into a grey screen, and then we'll get music. So there you go. So there you go. It seems to be up and working. Okay, fair enough. I've not plugged the keyboard in, but I've tested it that way. I've not plugged any joysticks in and tried them or anything like that. I've not put the harness on or anything like that yet. I'll switch that off. So I've not put any of them things into this unit at the moment, and the only reason why I've done that is because it's working. They pull out. Yeah, come on. Let's do this properly. Let's put the harness on it and let's put a diagnostic kit onto it and test it properly. So sorry I've not got it on a tripod, but it's out of the way at the minute. But here we go with the with the diagnostic cartridge with the harness. So have a quick look at the harness. There's a harness that I use. We've got the keyboard blanker offer. There, we've got the disk drive blanker offer, and we've got the tape and the serial user port, and we'll go over here. We've come to the joystick ports. Let's move back a bit. So you can see the two clocks down the bottom right hand corner of the screen. That's showing 2020, so it's showing that the CIAs are in time, and it's showing that everything else is good. So everything is spot on with that. So we'll just hear for the SID. There we go, the SID's running away. So one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video is because there's a lot of people out there that buy Commodore 64s to strip them down, to sell them in pieces, to try and make a profit on them. Or there is places that do. I mean, I was talking to the gentleman off Facebook who bought this off, and he said he'd come in a bulk buy. So if the SID was dead, then he would just probably pull all the chips out of it and use the chips for another one. And I don't see point. If your SID's dead, then stick another SID in it, or buy a Swin SID, or buy an ARM SID and put that in. I mean, the Swin SIDs are only about £10–15. They're not major money. Okay, the ARM SIDs are a little bit expensive, but it depends on what you want. The reason for it, and I was chatting to his colleagues in his WhatsApp group, and Todd from Yark was saying, and I was quite surprised, to be fair, it's not something that I've looked up in quite a long time. So what Todd from Yark said was the CIAs over in America are $35 each. $70. For the CPU, it's £30. For the PLA, it's another $30, sorry. The VIC chips are $80. And the SIDs are quite expensive as well. I mean, if you've got an R4AR SID, they're crazy. They're about $120. So I decided to have a look on eBay and just have a quick nosy at costs of these things, because obviously I've not looked for quite a long time, and yeah, they're going crazy. VIC chips, £50. CPUs, £35. CIAs, £35–40 a piece, and it's like, really? When you can buy a Commodore 64 for about £80–100, you know, a full-blown unit that's working. So why are these so expensive individually? I really don't understand why that should make a difference. I don't understand the SIDs, because the SIDs are going away, and I get the PLAs, but to be honest, we've got that many versions of PLAs now out there that PLAs are immaterial, really. So I just don't understand why you would want to strip it down unless you were going to make money. Or is that just me? Is it just me? Because I won't be stripping this board down any further when I've finished. And what I will do is I will pull all the chips back out and put them back into the retrospective places. I mean, the PLA and the SID, and I think the character came out of my zip machine, which you've seen before when I'm doing repairs. So they'll be going back in there, and I will mark the board up as good. So the next time I get a customer that comes through that's got a fault on the board that's taking me a little bit of time to diagnose, well, rather than that customer paying for my time to diagnose their board, I'll do an exchange and send this board back with their system for them. Obviously speak to them first, and if they're happy to do that, that's what I will do. And then the faulty board, I'll look at in my own time and find out what's wrong with it and put that back into spares again. So this board won't be getting stripped any further. It will be getting put back into a Commodore 64 and moved on in the future. But I just wondered what you guys' thoughts were about stripping Commodore 64s down just to make an extra buck, if you like. It's a few more bucks, to be honest, because when you start adding that lot up, then you're almost up at $200-ish. You know, if you're wanting to buy it all separately, it's just crazy in my own mind. Anyway, I've not done a Commodore 64 video for quite a while, and it is my main passion, is Commodore 64. I just haven't had a chance to get to Commodore 64s just lately. But there you go. So you can buy a Commodore 64 motherboard that's fully working for very little money. So you saw there in the video that the Commodore 64 motherboard was perfectly okay. Nothing wrong with it at all. Just missing some chips. I started scratching my head and thinking, why? Why would somebody rip all the chips out of it and sell the board? If you've got any comments on it, please drop them down the bottom. I'd like to hear from you. I don't get it. I don't get it. Unless it's just me that has so much passion for the Commodore 64 that I don't really want to strip them in bits and sell the parts to make some money on it. I'm not interested in that. I'd like to preserve these computers for the future, and if we can keep them original and keep them up and running. I do have quite a few Commodore 64s around my home. Yeah, okay, the MOS chips die periodically, and I do pull them out from time to time and retest them just to make sure that they are still working. But please drop us some comments, tell me what you think. If you've enjoyed this video, please take a look in the description. You'll find Yark, yet another retro channel. You'll find Retro for You. You will find Captain Commodore and Josip Retro Bits. You'll find them linked down in the description. Pop along if you enjoy the Commodore repairs and general repairs on computers and a little bit of programming. Josip does some great stuff. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye!